Welcome everybody. Today we are going to present that how to promote the smart city to achieve the global agenda. In this presentation, we will give a brief introduction and then a little definition of smart city and what are UN SDGs and their relation with smart cities, and some SDGs we have selected on which specific cases will be discussed to prove our narrative. After that, detail of each project and its impact will be discussed, and at the end there will be conclusion. First, we introduce our group. We are three scholars in this group: Quram Shabbir from Pakistan, Muhammad Umair from Pakistan. First of all, let's have a brief introduction of what a smart city actually is with some examples. See this video.
Just how smart is your city? Chances are it's getting smarter by the year. Many governments around the globe are racing to infuse technology into just about every aspect of its city's operations. And I mean every part.
Including public transportation, IT connectivity, water and power supply, sanitation and solid waste management, efficient urban mobility, e-governance, and citizen participation.
And it does this using every buzzword imaginable, from big data to the Internet of Things.
Although all the UN SDGs are equally important, but in this presentation we have discussed progress in certain areas of SDGs, like SDG number 1, no poverty, and 2 projects discussed in quality education. 4th SDG, a project is discussed, and for gender equality, a case study is discussed. 2 projects for clean water and sanitation has been discussed in this presentation. For renewable energies, 2 projects have been discussed. For innovation and infrastructure, 1 project CPAC has been discussed. SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, is most appropriate SDG with our course, and 2 projects has been discussed. One is Ravi Riverside Urban Smart City Project, Lahore, Pakistan, and other Green Line Bus in Karachi. 2 projects has been discussed. Similarly, climate action has been discussed, and South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation is discussed under 17th SDG named as partnership. Let's discuss no poverty, first SDG of UN. Here we took 2 projects which we will discuss later. First, some statistics are there. The main goal around which all other SDGs revolve is SDG to make human wealthy, and to make all human at least as well-being as well, so that they are above poverty line. And there is some statistics that 36 million people still live in extreme poverty, and there is improvement from 1990s that at that time 36% were below poverty, and now 10%. 1.3 billion people live in multi-dimensional poverty still now. In Pakistan, government of Pakistan has launched a program, Ehsaas program, which is a government owned program, and proper organizational setup has been established, and financial sponsorship from international organization is there. And during the COVID period, it provided emergency cash to day laborers who have lost their jobs. Similarly, they provide financial assistance to the private community of Pakistan in education, women's sport, healthcare, and microfinancing. At some spots in populated urban areas, they distribute food. There are food distribution points under Ehsaas program. Let's see some statistics of Ehsaas program. In the year 2020, over 1 billion rupees has been distributed among the needy people, poor people, and health cards budget is allocated in this financial year. 150 schools has been upgraded at slum areas, and training programs, graduation initiatives, loans, etc. And we have over 112 spots for food distribution. Here are statistics. We can see that recovery percentage is 99.95, and 147 billion Pakistani rupees has been distributed so far. Which is equal to 0.85 billion US dollars. So we see that how smart city can play its role in poverty alleviation. As the smart city is meant for well-being of humans, so establishment of smart city can bring following improvements in human life: provide peaceful and clean and innovative environment to flourish the living standard of its inhabitants, provide better and respectful employment and business opportunities, provide better education and sports facilities, make the society more interactive, cooperative, and helping, and there are better health, accidents, and disaster management systems. All these factors contribute in poverty alleviation as an ultimate goal.
Thank you, Omar. I'm Sudarman Paskaran. I'm from Sri Lanka. So, COVID-19 has brought the best and the worst of out of the healthcare systems around the world. Some countries have thrived under the pressure, but most countries they have struggled to keep up with the rising COVID patients count and death count. The healthcare systems around the world in the last 3 decades they have improved a lot. The life expectancy around the world has risen, while the maternal and infant mortality has reduced a lot. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has not only stalled the progress in some countries, they have also reversed the rapid progress we have done in the last few decades in some countries. So even before this COVID-19 pandemic, we were not on target to reach the ambitious, aggressive targets set by UN for 2030. So and throughout this period, the countries around the world they are trying smart technologies and artificial intelligence, especially since we are the fourth industrial revolution, and to improve the healthcare system around the world. We will look at the smart concepts that are used in healthcare. We will start with something small as smartwatches. Smartwatches have become a common product these days. And they are, say, for Apple watches, they have fall detection, ECG, oximeter, speedometer, and it helps the people live a healthy, active lifestyle. And it also with the fall detection, if your parent fell on the bathroom or a jog, it will immediately inform the emergency contact and emergency service, and you can send the help as soon as possible. And some doctors they used to monitor the vitals after the treatment or after the surgery, which will help them make an informed decision, and it also will help them the ongoing management as well after management. And in some countries, in Estonia, what they have done is they are using blockchain technology for healthcare data distribution and clinical payment system. So one of the biggest problems in the healthcare is the security of the data, and there have been instances where the data has been hacked and been breached. So by using decentralized blockchain technology, you are essentially cutting away all these security breach problems. And democratization of medical information. So everybody has, like these days, everybody has the relevant medical information at the end of their fingertips, and it helps the patients make informed decisions. And some hospitals, most of the hospitals these days, they use smart hospital management, and it helps them run a profitable hospital, and which will end up in helping the patients and users. Now, we will talk about South Korea's smart fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Around the globe, South Korea is deemed as one of those countries that fought best against COVID-19 pandemic. And they were able to achieve it through countless number of testing and contact tracing methods. So they were able to achieve that because they developed a COVID-19 testing kit within 3 weeks, and they did it with the help of artificial intelligence. So had they not used artificial intelligence, it would have taken the 3 months to develop this kit, and it would have created number of more COVID patients, and it would have exhausted the healthcare system of South Korea. And so AI was not only used for the development of the kit, it's also used for the analyzing and the classification of the COVID patient based on the severity of the patient. So, and AI was able to do it within 3 seconds, and we know in the fight against COVID-19, even a matter of minutes matters. And they also use smart quarantine management. So when I came to South Korea from Sri Lanka, I was quarantined for 14 days, and I had to download an app in my phone, and in that phone I had to update my vitals and temperatures 3 times a day. And even if I try to leave my room, it will let them know that I'm trying to leave the location based on the location services. And as for the contract tracing parts, they use mobile data, credit card transactions, CCTV for COVID-19 contact tracing. And having an integrated system like that in South Korea, it helps a lot in contact tracing. And this is where most of other countries lacked, and they were not able to do the contact tracing as best as South Korea. In 2013, Ministry of Education Saudi Arabia wanted to implement an educational reform, and they want to shift towards smart technology. So they started distributing laptops to the teachers and recruited technical staff for the schools. And most importantly, they introduced smart tables from an Australian company, so which would be given to each and every classroom, and students will be able to interact with the teachers, the students from other classrooms and other schools. So this was done in 3 phases, and they hope this smart table would increase the interactiveness and creativity of the students. And this Minister of Saudi Arabia felt that the English proficiency of the country, of the students, it lagged behind those from other countries. So what they did was, so they thought this smart table technology would improve the English proficiency of the students, and it has produced good results. That is why they tried it in the first phase, and since it was a success, they continued with the second phase and third phase. So in the same goal, we will look into Cape Town. In 2018, Cape Town was 90 days away from turning off their taps. They were in this huge water crisis. And how a major city like Cape Town came to a problem past like that, and how they got out of this problem. It's a lesson for all the cities around the world. And so they used two-pronged approach. One was they were educating the public. They had an aggressive propaganda to save their water, and another one was smart technology. So this was part of their aggressive propaganda to save water. Our city's life is all on the line. So what are the things Cape Town did to become a smart water city? So they introduced smart metering and water preservation technology for one thing. So it is said that average man wastes around 113 liters of water every day. So what Cape Town did was they introduced smart metering system to the schools. So in schools, we get places where the leaks are, the vandalized taps and files, and there are a lot of wastage in the school. So what they did was they introduced smart metering, and by introducing smart metering, if they have a smart meter would identify the places with the leaks and the vandalized taps, and they would let it know to the management. So by using this thing, every school saved around 200,000 liters of water per month and 20,000 rands as well. And so there was upside for the school's management and for the huge water crisis as well. And they used drip irrigation softwares for agriculture. Agriculture is one of the biggest water consumption industry, and by using these softwares, they eliminated 60% of wastage. And one of the other things they did was they reduced the water pressure in the mains.
Next we have discussed clean water and sanitation, which is SDG number 6, the project of Punjab Rural Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation, which costs $522 million, is a sustainable World Bank funded project. And in this, small dams will be made at different places for water, for rainwater harvesting. Filtration plants will be installed, sewage treatment plants and water supply and sewage lines will be laid under this project. And improvement in and change in capacity development is also part of this project. Service delivery improvement, and almost 8.2 million people of rural areas in 13 districts of Punjab will be the beneficiary. The second project discussed in clean water and sanitation SDG number 6 is Vash Sector Strategic Plan under the Ministry of Climate Change, which will provide fast-track progress towards achievement of 6.1 and 2, developing harmonization, integration and synthesis among key Vash stakeholders on Vash sector reforms, promoting knowledge management, donor support, M&E and periodic reporting mechanism of SDGs. It will be a federal government-owned organization, close liaison with all federating units, nutriting cross-sectional linkage with other sectors, academia, private sector, CSOs working on themes of health, education, nutrition, DRMs, etc., for putting in place a holistic approach for deepening and sustaining Vash sector. Now we will discuss the role of smart city in clean water and sanitation. Sustainable and economical infrastructure for water and sanitation system is a part and parcel of smart city. Following the requirements of smart city help in achievement of SDG. Preserving and optimal utilization of available ground and surface water reservoirs. Effective mechanism for water billing integrated with IoT with monitoring instruments, sensors, smart devices. Rainwater harvesting and recharge with groundwater. treatment of sewage water and its reuse as much as possible, effective sewage network to ensure clean environment. All these factors contribute in improvement of supply and disposal of water, hence contribute in SDG 6. The next SDG we discuss is affordable and clean energy, 7th SDG of UN program from 2015. And the Amir Bhasha hydropower project is discussed, which is 4,500 megawatt product dam project, hydro water project, which is considered to be the tallest roller compact concrete dam in the world. The outcomes after its completion date is almost 2028. After it complete, it will provide 4,800 megawatt hydroelectric power with storage of 10.5 cubic kilometer, almost 8.5 million acre feet of water for Pakistan. That would be used for irrigation and drinking. Its other benefit is life enhancement of the Vela and Ghazi Protha dams, which are downstream, which are at its downstreams by 35 years. And lastly, flood management and mitigation in the river Indus downstream during monsoon season. See some updates at the Amir Bhasha project. Next SDG is SDG number 9, Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure. And in this SDG we discuss CPEC project, which is a game-changing project for developing energy, trade and transport industrial corridor, and to provide a gateway to deep seas from Central Asia and South Asian states to deep seas. The shortest route is from Pakistan, which has been provided by this project through long networks of roads and railways, and a world-class big port at Gwadar, and a new smart city of Gwadar has been developed in this project. And free trade agreements between China and Pakistan has been done in 2013, by which special economical zones, for example industrial, educational zones, and a deep sea port has been developed. And a new coastal city, smart city of Gwadar has been developed. Improvement in railway and road infrastructures, and over 12,000 megawatt renewable and conventional power plants has been installed. Over 62 billion investment has been done in multiple sectors. The project is divided into two roads, eastern and western route, and a railway line is also provided for carriages. Some facts about CPEC project has been.
On December 25, 2020, officials from China and Pakistan met in Urumqi for the second meeting of the Joint Working Group on International Cooperation and Coordination under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC. The meeting was aimed at taking stock of the CPEC as it turned 5. CPEC is a clutch of projects with an estimated value of $62 billion. It is China's most ambitious Belt and Road Initiative project that aims to build a network of roads, railway lines, and power projects throughout Pakistan. It also aims at strengthening the economic ties between China and Pakistan. By the end of 2018, according to the Chinese government, 22 early harvest projects were completed or were under construction with a total investment of $18.9 billion. Most completed projects are standalone energy and transport projects. In October 2019, Pakistan established a CPEC authority under its Ministry of Planning to speed up the execution of several projects that were mired in delays. A slew of projects were inaugurated in 2020. CPEC eventually aims at linking the city of Gwadar in southwestern Pakistan to China's northwestern region Xinjiang through a vast network of highways and railways.
Second project regarding 11th SDG, Sustainable Cities and Community, is Green Line Bus at Karachi. Karachi is the biggest city of Pakistan with more than 22 million population, and they have to move around the city for workplaces and other business activities, and there was no good transport system. Hence the government of Pakistan initiated a project and made a 22-kilometer green line bus project starting from Surjani to Jama Cloth Market with capacity of 13,000 passengers per hour with 400,000 passengers per day. Last SDG discussed is 17th SDG, partnerships for these goals. We have discussed the organization named SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, which was established in 1985 and have 8 member countries with 3% of world's area and 21% of world's population with a huge economy. Let's see some facts and figures about SAARC.
In this episode, we will be discussing the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, or SAARC. Let's begin with a brief introduction. SAARC comprises of 8 member states: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. There are currently 9 observers to SAARC, namely Australia, China, European Union, Iran, Japan, Republic of Korea, Mauritius, Myanmar, and the United States of America. The headquarters and secretariat of the association are at Kathmandu, Nepal. SAARC comprises around 3% of the world's area, 21% of the world's population, and 4.21% of the global economy as of 2019. SAARC was established with the signing of the SAARC Charter in Dhaka, Bangladesh in December 1985. Now let's discuss the principles of SAARC. Cooperation within the framework of SAARC shall be based on respect for the principles of sovereign equality, territorial integrity, political independence, non-interference in the internal affairs of other states, and mutual benefit. The areas of cooperation comprise human resource development and tourism, agriculture and rural development, environment, natural disasters and biotechnology, economic, trade and finance, social affairs, information and poverty alleviation, energy, transport, science and technology, education, security, and culture, and others. SAARC Development Fund. Its primary objective is funding of project-based collaboration in social sectors such as poverty alleviation, development, etc. The SAARC Development Fund is governed by a board consisting of representatives from the Ministry of Finance of the member states.
As concluding remarks, I'd like to emphasize that common goal of Smart City and UN SDGs is to make the world more peaceful, healthy, prosperous, and sustainable for the coming generations. Despite of the damages caused by the COVID-19, significant progress has been seen in South Asian countries. Now the regional condition is getting better, and US armies have left the Afghanistan. Now the regional countries can focus more on its SDGs agendas and its implementation. However, more collaboration is needed, especially in the East Asian countries, including China, India, and Republic of Korea, so that Asian bloc can be made more sustainable, more efficient, and livable for its people, like the goals that has been achieved in European Union and other development world.